Where do you think the Pokemon games take place? I don't say the Pokemon world. Where is the Pokemon world? And could Pokemon actually take place in our world? I don't need to tell you that the Pokemon games reference the real world in many ways. There's a Bulbepedia article that covers a huge number of references, which I've looked at lots for this. I'll leave a link in the description so you can look at everything. But I want to point out a few key details, and then I'll tell you what I think they mean. I'm sure you know that Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, and Sinnoh are all based on regions of Japan, Unova and Alola are based on parts of the United States, and Kalos is based on France. But there's a ton more to it. Before I go on though, I just want to clarify that I'm focusing on the core series games here. All other aspects of this franchise have real-world stuff in them too, but I don't consider them part of the same canon necessarily. Anyway. Lieutenant Surge is known as the Lightning American. There's a scientist in Sylph that mentions they have a branch in Russia. A really significant one is the journal that says that Mew was found in Guyana, a country in South America, because it implies not only that South America and Guyana specifically exist in the Pokemon world, but that Pokemon exist there. Pokédex entries name real-world locations a bunch of times, especially for Pokemon from Gens 1 and 2. Arcanine is a legendary Pokemon in China, Poliwrath can easily swim across the Pacific Ocean, Ponyta can jump over Ayers Rock, South Americans apparently think Xatu can see the past and the future at the same time, and so on. I've discussed how I don't think the Pokédex is reliable, but I think place names can be trusted. So I don't know about Poliwrath being able to cross the Pacific Ocean without getting tired, but there's definitely a Pacific Ocean for it to cross. Otherwise, where did the name come from? You could say that there is a Pacific Ocean in the Pokemon world, but it's not the same as our Pacific Ocean. And I might agree with you, if not for all of the other references. Because there's a lot more in the Pokédex than locations. One that particularly stands out to me comes in the Fire Red entries for Ghastly and Raichu. They talk about Indian elephants. Now, that's not just a location, that is an animal. Or do you really think there's a Pokemon called Indian Elephant? But that's a single reference in a relatively old game. Can we really put that much weight in it? But actually, Raichu's Dex entry in Sun also has the elephant in it. And if you think about it, there's a lot of other animals in the Pokédex too. Not in entries, the other animal references are somewhere that we don't really think about. Pokemon categories. And there they are all over the place. Some of them are pretty generic animal names like mouse, seagull, centipede, wolf. They represent a wide number of species, and they could be broad names for a particular kind of Pokemon too, just like we use bird for a whole bunch of different animals. But some of them are pretty specific, like cobra, hippo, chinchilla, lion. Those only refer to a relatively small number of closely related species. And if you look at the Japanese categories, they get even more specific. There's Siamese cat, horsehair crab, even antlion larva. Those can't just be generic names. Those animal references came from somewhere. And if you think about it, animal references are even in the Pokemon names themselves. Dugong, Lediba, Celio, Starly, Swanna, Gogoat, Komala, and literally hundreds of others have obvious animal references in their names. Those names came from somewhere. Pokemon didn't name themselves. This isn't the stupid anime canon. People named Pokemon. People wrote the Pokédex entries and came up with the Pokemon categories. People that knew about all those other animals because they existed in the same world. Our world. Well, not literally our world, because Pokemon don't exist, but our world in the same sense that Harry Potter takes place in our world. It's a version of our world where there's magic, fantastic beasts, locations that don't exist, even public transit that actually shows up when you need it. It's a fantasy, but it's still our world. Most of the history and geography are the same. Heck, we even know that the Pokemon World moon landing happened on the exact same day as ours. This NPC in the Pewter Museum bought a color TV just to see it. Okay, but hang on. If the Pokemon World is our world, where are the regions exactly? And I think they are exactly where they're based on. I know what you're gonna say. that the geography doesn't match well enough for it to be literally the same place. And I would love to get into it, but this video is going to be pretty long already, and this point is kind of tangential to what I want to focus on today. So I'm going to leave a more detailed discussion of how the Pokemon regions relate to their real-world counterparts, to each other, and to the Pokemon world at large for the next PokéStudies. For now, just trust me, they are in our world. So if the Pokemon world is our world and real animals are known to the people of the Pokemon world, how come we never see animals in the games? Well, remember what I said at the end of the last PokéStudies. I think that Pokemon are inherently exceptionally adaptable. Look at all the variety of Pokemon. Pokemon have occupied and dominated hundreds of ecological niches and outcompeted almost every animal we know and love from our world. Now here's where the heavy speculation comes in. I think that the Pokemon world used to be exactly like our world until Pokemon came onto the scene. They may have come from space, like some Pokédex entries suggest, or maybe they evolved here as a result of some random mutation. And this might have happened hundreds of millions of years ago, like Kabuto's Pokédex text suggests, but I don't know if I believe that. I mean, in our world, the oldest extinct animals we've even considered restoring are woolly mammoths, and those only went extinct 10,000 years ago. And we don't even have enough viable DNA to restore them. Do you really think we'd be able to restore a 300 million year old fossil, even if we had the technology of the Pokemon world? I'm not too sure. I think Pokemon evolved or arrived much more recently than that. But whenever that happened, Pokemon proved extremely adaptable. They were able to take on all kinds of ecological roles. They were able to compete with a wide variety of animals, even some plants and fungi. And because Pokemon are so adaptable and they have magical abilities, they were able to easily outcompete the animals and completely take over their environments. And so, Pokemon wiped out almost all animals. This process probably happened rather slowly at first, allowing modern animals and modern Pokemon to coexist. We know Raichu has been used in war, and since elephants have also been used in war, I wonder if they were ever used against each other. Maybe that's how we know that Raichu can take down an Indian elephant. But ultimately, Pokemon took over almost entirely. Small animals like bugs and worms probably still exist, and they are mentioned in some Pokédex entries, and maybe some bigger animals still exist too. They're just very rare. But that's what I think. I would love to know what your ideas are, what you agree or disagree with, so leave a comment down below and share this video with your friends so that we can get even more people in on the discussion. In the next PokéStudies, I will talk more about the regions, and I also have a video planned about the domestication of Pokemon and how we got to this point of battling with them. You won't want to miss those, so subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Umbreon Libris, and I will see you in the next chapter.